Hello, you guys. Welcome to another episode of the Slay the Spray podcast. This is your girl, Kelly Callaghan, and today we're going to be talking about sales psychology so you can make more money in your spray tanning business. Most people think that they're bad at sales, but truthfully, I think that most people just don't know how sales works. They don't know the psychology behind sales. They just feel very uncomfortable selling, and I'm putting that in quotations if you're not watching this on YouTube, selling things because they just haven't had enough reps. They haven't had enough experience. And because it's so quote unquote uncomfortable for some people, they just don't do it. So maybe that's you not showing up on Instagram. Maybe that's you not asking for the sale for the membership or the retail product or the upgrade to a rapid and all of these things. And I just think that if you started practicing it, you would realize that it is going to get easier and easier and easier. As I've said in previous episodes, it's just like building this muscle. It's like going to the gym, every couple of days or whatever, a couple times a week or whatever, and building out that muscle because you're repeating a process that is hard at first, but ends up being easier and easier and easier. And for those of you guys who don't know, I used to work at Sprint, I used to work at Verizon, I used to work at literally every cell phone company that you could possibly think of. And I also worked, my last corporate job was at Cox Communications in San Diego selling phone, internet, and what was it? TV to people that needed it, right? And so in my opinion, and from what I've learned over the years of just selling and being in a sales position and being the top sales producer in most of my positions, there are some principles that you need to understand that I was taught during my time as a corporate girly that I wanted to share with you guys because I think that oftentimes I think about how sales comes so naturally to me, and it does because of my experience. I'm trying to think back in the day, like when I first started selling, I was one of the girls at the kiosk at the mall in the middle of the freaking hallway where everybody was walking, and nobody's going to the mall thinking I need to get a cell phone unless they're going directly to that Verizon store or that Sprint store or whatever. And back in the day, I was that annoying ass girl at the kiosk trying to convince you to upgrade your phone or buy a phone or add a phone onto your plan, when in reality you just went to the mall to buy your son some pants. And honestly, that right there, that position taught me more than any other position because when I think back to it, I was so uncomfortable when I first started. But you know what I started doing? I started doing the reps. I started just going in, drinking my Monster, and just talking to anybody that I could and just trying to get comfortable with the uncomfortable feeling of selling when these people did not have any intention on buying anything that I was selling. So it was this process of not even just knowing how to sell, but a process of really nurturing the people around you and the people that you were in contact with, and trying to even get them to stop to talk to you. Because as you can imagine, most people walking by just wanted to say no. Most people walking by, their automatic thing was, nope, don't want to talk to you. Don't want to talk to you. I'm busy. I'm tunnel vision going over here to this store and I got to go because my son has soccer or whatever the case is, right? So it was definitely one of these things that until I started doing the reps and until I started changing my mindset and making this a game for myself, because that's just how my brain operates. I want everything to be a game in order for me to get excited about it and no longer scared. So I think that's step one, is knowing that everything that you do in your business, no matter what it is that you're doing in your business, challenge yourself. Challenge yourself to be better than you were yesterday. Challenge yourself to become a different version of yourself, essentially. And the way that you're going to do this is by first changing your mind. And for me personally, it's going to work different for everybody. But for me personally, it was like creating a game out of everything that I was doing to make it fun. And then the fun would translate into like better energy and more excited energy instead of this nervous energy. And then from there, I was just challenging myself, and I kept on challenging myself until I got into the next level of business. And so it's kind of like this buildable process. The more reps you do, the bigger the muscle is going to get. And in this case, the more that you spend your time encouraging and challenging yourself to do the uncomfortable thing, like sell a product or sell an upgrade, you are going to get better at it and better, and you're going to surprise yourself, because never in a million years would I have thought that this, small like girl that grew up in freaking Long Beach, California, in honestly like not the nicest area, would be able to be a top sales rep for these big corporations and also build her own business to $1 million a year. And the reason why I've been able to do this is partially because I created this game and mastered sales at such a young age, and I had this mindset of like twisting the reality, because for a lot of people, like I said, including myself in the beginning, it was scary to sell. But don't look at yourself as a salesperson. Look at yourself as somebody who likes to challenge herself and somebody who is willing to do whatever it takes to really just like try to become a better version of who you are. And this could be in all regards, but today we're going to be talking specifically about sales. So I'm going to show you the principles that helped me build a 7-figure business, and I'm going to teach you the psychology of what exactly I needed to learn and what I did learn through my corporate life, okay? The biggest mindset shift that I want you to remember is that people don't buy products, okay? They don't buy the actual service or the actual product. What they buy is the results of the product. So it could be that the product or the service is going to give them confidence. It's going to give them convenience. It's going to give them the results that they want. It's going to give them certainty, and it's going to make them just feel better. We're in the business of beauty. We are selling spray tanning products, spray tanning services. And so when you think about that, think of the end result of how you feel when you get a spray tan. I know that for me personally, I love a spray tan. I've actually become more obsessed with spray tans over the last 6 months than I think I ever have been in this entire 12 years that I have been a spray tanning artist. And I'm going to tell you why. One, I am going to be 40 July 22nd. Okay, so when I think about myself, I think about that I feel like I'm 25 or even younger, honestly. But I'm looking at myself and I'm looking at my skin and I'm looking at a little bit of weight that I've gained, especially after my breast surgery. I'm looking at these like little flaws that I have throughout my body, like maybe cottage cheese, maybe just like a little bit of wrinkling, maybe that I just don't look very healthy when I'm super, super white because I don't lay out in the sun. And so when I think about the result that I get from spray tanning now, it's that I do look younger. I look younger. I look probably, I don't know, like maybe I'm over exaggerating, but I swear I look like 10 years younger when I have a spray tan. Not only that, but I look like I lost literally like 10 pounds right away, instantly. I also love the way that my skin feels and the way that my skin looks when I have a spray tan with certain products, which is why this is so important and has been so important for me for Xtan Sunless to create really high quality ingredients within our solutions, because I wanted it to be like a skin nourishing treatment plus spray tanning. Because for some people, they're gonna have the opposite effect, right? If they get a spray tan and they start peeling quickly, or like it starts cracking, it starts making their skin really dry and things like that, they're going to have the opposite effect. So it's really important to know the ins and outs of your product, but also to recognize that this product does this result, this result, this result for you and for your clients, right? So making sure that you remember that nobody actually wants the spray tan. Nobody's like, oh, can I just buy the spray tan without any of the results, right? What they want is the actual results. They want confidence on vacation. They want to look skinny and toned. They want to feel beautiful. They want to get compliments. Perhaps they want to just look really good with their wedding in their wedding photos. Maybe they just want to look healthier. That's one thing that spray tans do for me. Like I love getting a spray tan and looking healthy. Sell the outcome. Don't sell the actual product or service. So that's going to be the biggest mindset shift that I want you to remember throughout this entire process that we're chatting today, okay? Most artists are actually just taking orders. So for example, your client might just say like, hey, I'm just going to do the regular, whatever it is that I normally do. And all you say is like, okay, go ahead and get undressed and I'm going to go get it ready for you. Conversation over, and that's it. Now you don't have an opportunity at this point to upgrade them to a rapid because now you've closed the conversation down. What we want to do is create a conversation around what they're getting their spray tan for. So remember that you are more of a guide. You are their friend trying to give them the best recommendation. And a couple of questions that you might want to ask instead of just saying, okay, we'll just do the regular is, what are we tanning for today? When is your event? How long do you want your spray tan to last? Have you ever tried a rapid spray tan? And now you're able to open up the communication lines to be able to solve a problem that they don't even know that they potentially are having or will have, okay? Because you are the expert. And I think oftentimes we forget that a lot of our common sense, because we are spray tanning artists, isn't necessarily common sense to our clients. Like we automatically think that they know what we know, and that is just simply not true. So remember to try to get into their shoes and try to become like one of their friends and try to give them the best options and recommendations that you could possibly give them as the professional, spray tanning artist, because there are things that they probably don't even know that you offer, like a rapid or an extra dark color or some, self-tanning mousse or a tan extender and things like this, okay? So I also want you to remember that people need leadership. People actually want the recommendations. When you think about, yourself getting your hair done, your nails done, going to an esthetician, going to a personal trainer, going to a dentist, a doctor, any like service-based professional that is here to help you, you are going to hopefully, if you trust them, you're going to trust their recommendations. And so we expect them, those people, those professionals, to guide us through the process of what we may need in order for us to enhance our experience or to avoid a pain point or a problem that could potentially happen now or in the future, or has maybe even happened in the past, right? So maybe somebody was like, hey, my spray tan only lasted 5 days, and you know that they're going on vacation. So what would you offer to them in order for them to have a better overall experience? Because what can happen is the difference between a client leaving you and coming back to you based on the questions that you're asking them and based on the recommendations that you're giving them. Because if you're able to solve a problem that they either had in the past, currently could potentially have, or potentially have in the future, you are guiding them in the right direction as a spray tanning professional. Like your recommendations to avoid those pain points and those problems, it's going to be looked at as gold, and they're going to be able to trust you going forward. It's so important to not look at yourself as a salesperson, but look at yourself as like literally, I mean, some people say a guide, some people say, just somebody that they trust, but like really a friend. Like I think about how would I want my friend to have this experience spray tanning with me, like the entire thing from like the beginning to the time that the spray tan fades. What would I recommend to a friend to be able to make sure that they have the best possible experience? Because I love them and I want them to have the best experience. And, when it comes to having that mindset shift there, it's like you almost go into like mama mode or like friend mode or a mode that feels a lot easier than thinking of yourself as a salesperson. Okay? So let's talk about the psychology of sales. There are a couple of different closing strategies or techniques that you can use. And so I'm going to go through them. I feel like some of these are going to come more naturally to you. Some of them are going to be like, ugh, like I don't really want to do that. Girl, do you. You pick whichever one that you want. And I would challenge you to just stick with that one for now and focus on one offer that you want to sell kind of on repeat to start getting really comfortable if you're not comfortable with sales at all. Now, the first close is called the assumptive close. All right. And so I'm going to give you an example of what this looks like. So instead of asking, would you like to join our membership? You know, it's a very like yes or no type of answer. It's a closed-ended question. We don't want that, okay? Because they're automatically going to be thinking like this person's trying to sell me. No, like absolutely not. You know? So instead, the way that you would probably want to ask this is, or even not even ask, but like share this knowledge, share this information with them is most of my clients who tan this often save money with our membership. So if you notice, you're not forcing it. You're assuming that it makes sense for them. You're just stating a fact, right? And so you could say something like, is that something that you think would benefit you? And so with that, they're not just saying yes or no. They're actually thinking about it because you're giving them more information. You're giving them the information that they could save money. That's a benefit to them, right? Why would they not? And you know what? Some people are going to still say no. I remember having this one lady come in every single week and she never got into a membership for whatever reason. But I was like, hey, I'm making more money this way. So that's totally fine if you don't want to. But I continued to ask her like every once in a while, like, are you sure you don't want the membership? Because it is going to save you money in the long run, you know? And so again, coming from a place of just very easy, not pushy, not forceful, just like, hey, this is on the table for you. If you want it, great. If not, cool. Like it is what it is, right? So having this assumptive sell, I really do like it. It's probably a little bit more aggressive than the other closing techniques that I'm going to share with you. And so it might feel like a little bit more uncomfortable, but if this is one way that you are like, hey, I actually like the way that sounded, or I like the way that felt, girl, do it, because that's one of the best closing techniques that you could possibly do when you assume the sale. All right, so number 2 is social proof. I don't know if you've noticed this, but on social media, you may have noticed that people love to copy people. And I don't mean it in any sense in particular. I just mean in general. Okay, so if you think about the TikTok dances and the trends that happen and all of these things, like if you continue to see that kind of like the same brand over and over again, like people tend to copy people, and sometimes it's intentional and sometimes it's just subconscious. It's just like that's something that they see that they like and then they end up doing it kind of thing. But what I mean by this type of sell is that you can use this to your advantage because you most likely have reviews. You most likely have conversations with people stating that they love their spray tan with you. You might have just any type of photos or pictures or like anything that people have shared with you over the years that state that they love you, they love their spray tan, they love the service or the product that you offered. And so what you can do is when you're trying to sell something, whether it's a retail product, whether it's a membership or what have you, you can share that other people actually like it too. And so some phrases that you can use is something like, most brides choose to XYZ. Perhaps that's a contour. Perhaps that's the clear solution that you have. Perhaps it's the retail products or bundle that you have. Another thing that you can say is our regular clients usually blank. So it could be like our regular clients usually like to enroll in our membership. It's $99 a month. This is what you get. There is no commitment, whatever. And the next one is the majority of our monthly members do this. So maybe you could say that they add on rapid for this much money, right? So it really just depends on what your offers are, but this is a good way to actually have some social proof that other people also do it and they love it. And so they should also consider it. All right, so sales tactic number 3 is giving reasons. People need justification. So don't just say, oh, the membership's just $99. Instead, say, this ends up saving you about $25 a bit. Instead, say something like, this ends up saving you about $25 every visit. And so it could be literally a membership. It could be a package that you're selling. It can be an upgrade to a contour. It could be the retail products. You could also say something like, most members earn their membership back after 2 visits. So like when you reframe the way that they will be benefiting from getting X, Y, and Z first, this is the reason why they should buy this. So when you give them the reason first and then let them know what the offer is, it's going to basically give them a reason to listen to you. Like, if I'm being honest, especially if they haven't built that trust with you, it is really like, you really want to build that trust, right? And so the way that you do that is by giving them the reasons why something would benefit them first, and then go into the sell. Let's go into number 4. So ask questions. People convince themselves. So instead of talking, have them talk, okay? Ask, what made you decide to get sprayed today? Or what are you hoping that this tan makes you feel like? Or what do you love about your last spray tan? The more that they talk, the easier the sale is going to be. And this is one that I personally was really, really good at. And probably the thing that I used the most was asking questions. I always thought of myself as like a private investigator, a best friend, if you will. And it was like trying to get information out of them so that I could really, truly understand what it was that they needed from me. So if somebody came to me and they were like, hey, I'm getting a spray tan. And if I was just like, oh, okay, cool, like go ahead and you sign up for the 8-hour light tan, go, in the room, and I'll be in there in just a second. Like, to me, that is a really bad customer service experience, because I know better. I know better than to allow them to kind of run the show, if you will. Perhaps they didn't know that we have rapid options or super dark options or X, Y, and Z, right? So instead of just doing that, no matter if they booked online and I saw that they had an 8-hour light tan or whatever it is that they chose, I still would ask questions, even if they were a repeat client, because I wanted to make sure that I was doing my due diligence and I was doing my job, the best job that I could as their best friend, as their spray tanning artist, as a little bit of a PI, So what I would ask is like, what are you getting a spray tan for? Oh, okay, cool. You're going on vacation to Hawaii. Do you think that you might want something a little bit darker than a light tan? Because I don't know, it's not giving Hawaii vibes, So you want to ask things like that and just like have fun with it. You don't have to be serious. You don't have to be super polished unless that's part of your brand. You could just be you. And that's the beautiful thing about selling. To me, it's more about creating this connection with this person and having them understand that I know what I'm doing and I'm asking the questions to be able to offer maybe 1 or 2 other options that are better than the original choice that they chose, because they are not the spray tanning artist. I am. And so, of course, if they were like, nope, I just want a light tan, we're sticking with the light tan, girl. It's you. This is all about you. But I would recommend possibly going to a medium tan, because personally, if I was going to Hawaii, you want something that's going to be a little bit more bronzy, a little bit nicer. It's going to make you look a little bit more fit. If we know, bodybuilders get super, super, super dark, because the darker that they are, the more toned that they look. So things like that, like if you're explaining things like that in a way that makes sense for them, they're going to just be like, I trust you. And not only that, they're not going to just trust you in that moment. That's going to start building trust over time. And it's going to make your life a lot easier to be able to make other recommendations for them, whether in the future or now, even if that's a retail product, a membership, or whatever, right? So I hope that helps. This to me is key. Like, this right here is the easiest way to sell, quote unquote sell, but it's also the easiest way to build trust, which to me is far more important than selling anything. Like, I need my clients to trust me, because if they don't, I've lost them already. Like, they're going somewhere else and I don't have any potential to sell them, not even a penny of anything, right? So always think about your clients first. I've heard of people being very pushy in this industry, and I've heard more than anything, people not being pushy at all, like not even offering anything. So you can't be either one, in my opinion, because you don't want to be the car salesman that's like so icky and gross and like, no, okay, absolutely not. And you also don't want to be the person that's like timid and shy and like not offering solutions to potential problems, because neither are good. You need a balance of the two. You need, in my opinion, to be right in the middle where you're not too pushy, you're filling your client out, and you're actually helping them by giving them the things that they need and that they want. Okay? All right, so let's talk about number 5, scarcity. I've seen this a lot in spray tanning solution brands, okay? I'm just going to put it out there. I do think that there are quite a few brands that are out of stock all of the time because of this sales technique and this sales strategy, okay? And I have my reasons. I'm not going to go into it today, but I do believe that when a brand is out of stock all of the time, consistently, it's because it is a marketing scheme. Not, I shouldn't even say scheme because that sounds bad. A marketing strategy or technique over anything. And they're allowed to do this, okay? There's nothing wrong with doing this. I don't do it in my business, Xtan Sunless. I make sure that we have more than enough stock, because even with our crazy amount of growth this year, my anxiety levels would not be able to like not be in stock. Like, I need you as a spray tanning artist to trust in me to be able to fulfill the orders when you need them. So that's really, really important to me. But scarcity is basically having this way of not having enough of something, or always being sold out, or having a deadline of some sort, because people value things that aren't always available. All right. So as an example, in your shoes as a spray tanning artist, your scarcity technique could be like, this promotion ends Friday, or I only have a few membership spots left before I cap them. If you want to get one, I would get one now, kind of thing. So don't fake scarcity though, because to me, that's not appropriate. I don't think that that's right. I think it's very fake and not very in integrity with like how anyone should be. However, there is a way to do this where it is a real scarcity thing, that like a boundary essentially that you put around in your business. So for example, if you have a promotion, for example, we have one that's going on right now, July 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. That's scarcity, okay? We only have this promotion going on for these days, and that's it. Once it's over, it's over. And trust me, like, we get people all the time that email us like literally the day after and like begging us to get, the promotion. But we have to stay in integrity with how we're operating our business, because if we do it for one person, that means we have to do it for everybody in order for us to stay fair and to feel good about ourselves. And I need to sleep at night. So you have to have boundaries around your sales. Perhaps like your memberships. I saw Shauna Dexter do this a lot, where she only had X amount of people that could sign up for her membership every single year, and she opened it, I think back then it was like once a year or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but she had this window of opportunity where people could buy into the membership. So that is scarcity. And knowing Shauna, I know she stuck to her guns, and she is very in integrity with like how she operates her business. So once that time was over, it was over. And I will say that back in the day, like when I was first learning about scarcity and things like that, I did not have boundaries around it. So for example, if we had like a membership and then somebody wanted to come in, like the day or two after we closed it, like I would let them in. I would say, don't do that. That was a mistake that I made personally, and I don't love that I did that, because I wasn't staying in integrity with our rules and regulations and the things that we had, our terms and conditions essentially for our business. And so what that did was it kind of trickled out into other areas where I was a little bit loose on my boundaries. And so I have tightened this ship up. And since then, I made sure that we stay in integrity with everything that we're doing in our business. And so that means that when we do have a scarcity type of sale for, this day or this day, we do not step outside of those boundaries essentially. So I hope that you are empowered to do the same thing, because I do truly believe that as a business owner of 12 years, I feel more in control and I feel really good about those decisions now, as opposed to how I felt back then. Okay, so the next thing, number 6, is just being confident in the way that you're selling. If you sound unsure, they're also going to be unsure. So don't say things like, if you maybe wanted to, or I don't know if you wanted to get this, but this is something that I could offer you. Or you could if you wanted. Like, these are very, in my opinion, not very confident ways of promoting a service or a product. So instead, you could say something like, I think this would be perfect for you because X, Y, and Z. Or better yet, this one's so easy. This is what I would recommend getting into this membership. Or this is what I would recommend because you're going on to Hawaii, get this tan extender, this body wash, and this lotion because you want to stay hydrated. You're going to be out in the sun, in the water, blah, 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 blah. So really, really important. And this confidence isn't going to come naturally at first. But once you start doing your reps, I promise you, it's going to be so much easier, and it's going to be second nature where you're not even going to have to think about it. You're just going to say it. It's going to come out. It's going to be a beautiful, easy, flowy conversation. And when you get that feeling, girl, you're going to be on top of the world, and you're going to be like, I could do this in my sleep. I can do this blindfolded. I can do this anytime, anywhere, any day to anybody. So building up those reps. Just because it feels uncomfortable right now doesn't mean it's going to be uncomfortable forever. Just keep going, okay? This one is super important. So this isn't really like a strategy. This is more of like a mindset shift as well. And this is one of the things that I see a ton of people struggling with. I need you to do this, okay? This is not like, this is a non-negotiable. This is not a thing that you can think about. This is not something that is a maybe. This is a straight non-negotiable. Stop selling from your wallet, okay? I'm going to say that again. Stop selling from your wallet. I'm going to share exactly what that means. Just because you would not spend $150 does not mean that your client won't. Never assume what someone can afford. You let them decide. This is a huge one. I've had to learn to really rewire my brain essentially, because at first I would look at somebody and I would make the assumption that they could not afford X, Y, or Z. But I'm going to tell you a story really quick. When I started making some real money with Xtan Sunless and Slay the Spray, and basically my businesses as a whole, and I started making multiple 6 figures. I went to the car dealership and I looked like Adam Sandler. Okay, I was wearing sweats. I was wearing a really messy bun, no makeup whatsoever, a big loose shirt, and I was just walking in there like, I'm going to buy a car today. And guess how everyone looked at me? They didn't even want to look at me, okay? Because I was in a Mercedes dealership. They didn't even want to look at me. They just kind of was like, okay, like here's a girl that has a wish or like a vision on her vision board, like a picture on her vision board of one of these cars. Like she's just looking around. She's not serious. Little did they know I had cash in hand and I was 100% serious and I wanted to buy a car. And so really like nobody gave me the time of day. And so I ended up leaving because I was like, this is crazy, not doing this again. And I went to another dealership and I looked a little bit nicer because I figured that it had something to do with the way I looked. And I went and I bought my car because somebody actually paid attention to me. One of the guys paid attention to me. And I was so grateful because even during our test drive and stuff like that, I could tell that he did not think I was going to buy, right? And so when I ended up buying the car, he was so nice and so grateful and just like, asking what I did for a living and all these things. He was like very intrigued that somebody that looked like Adam Sandler, AKA me, would be able to afford a car like that. And so I want you to remember, do not stereotype or put these people that you're working with in a box. Do not assume that you know their story, their financial backing. They could just be like me one day that rolled out of bed, that maybe, they have kids, they can't take care of like themselves at this moment in time. Trust me, I've had some really rough looking days. I look back at my photos, I'm like, damn, I'm ugly. Like I was so hideous when I had my baby because I could not take care of anything but him, really. I was, you guys, I can't even post. I'm not going to post a picture because it was that bad. Anyways, long story short, don't put them in a box because you never know what they can afford, and don't not offer them something because you assume that you know their financials, because you don't. That is the truth. I hear this a lot, even when I did like one-on-one mentorships and stuff like that. People would come to me and say, hey, I just didn't offer it to them because I just don't like, I wouldn't pay for that. And I'm just looking at them like, who are you to dictate what somebody will and will not find as valuable? And also, like, maybe they think it's a great deal. Maybe it's something that they would really like to buy. Another thing I would say to that is like, truthfully, if you believe in your products and your services, the price that you put on there should probably be higher than what you're thinking. Like if you really believe in what you're offering and you're like, oh yeah, you have this mindset of like, either everyone's going to buy, you need to raise your prices. But if you're also in this mindset of like, oh, nobody's going to buy it at that rate, you need to either lower your prices or add more value or have a different perception of what you're offering. Because if the price point that you're asking for does not match the quality or the value that you perceive in your mind, how is anybody else going to perceive that as valuable when you don't even think that? You're going to self-sabotage. You're not going to offer it. You're going to feel very icky whenever you are offering it. And so there's a difference too between feeling icky because you truly don't believe in the value of the product that you're selling, which in that case you really need to do some deep diving and think like, do you want to even offer this, or how do you make it more valuable, or how do you change the price to reflect your inner beliefs? But then the other side of this too is like, we get nervous, like especially if it's something that's not normal or not something that you're not used to selling. We get nervous in our bodies. Like I could feel it in my stomach sometimes if I'm offering something that's new at like a price point that I'm just not used to selling this, period. So if that's the case, keep doing it, keep getting your reps in, keep practicing, because it is going to get easier, like I've mentioned multiple times in this podcast. All right, I hope I didn't like lose you guys there. This is something that I've also talked about in previous episodes. Never sell something that they don't need, okay? Always ask the questions to find out what they're doing, what could potentially benefit them, and then offer it. Remember that long-term trust beats a one quick sell. Okay, that's so important for me. Like I would rather have everyone's trust than to make a quick buck. That will absolutely not happen ever in my entire business, ever, ever, ever. Which is why Xtan Sunless, we stay in stock, we ship the same or next business day. We have high quality ingredients that I personally, as a licensed esthetician, have studied. I've studied the results of the products, compared it to other things on the market, our product on one leg, another product on another leg. I've done this multiple times. I've seen it work through and through and through and through. And I continue to add ingredients only when they actually benefit the solution. So what I mean by that is, and this is for another episode too, there are things in spray tanning solutions, like I've seen DMI, I've seen other things, like there's talks about peptides and things like that are in solutions. Collagen, for example, in solutions, CBD in solutions. But the truth of the matter is, for a lot of these ingredients, people are just putting enough in to be able to promote it as quote unquote sweat resistant, or they're putting just enough in to really not have an effect on the solution, but to be able to promote it and market it as sweat resistant, for example. Or the other things like copper peptides or, whatever. CBD and things like that. Like the reality of it is that you really do need a product that you're going to be using over and over and over again in order for those things to actually work effectively on the skin. So a lot of it's marketing. And for me personally, you will never see me get caught up in a marketing scheme like that, because what is important to me is building the trust of our clients over anything. So, yes, maybe you'll make the quick buck if you have just enough DMI and like it's not actually going to work, but it is in the solution and you can market it as such. However, to me, that's not living in integrity, and you're going to get caught up sooner or later at some point. And so, for me personally, and this should be like a learning lesson for you guys too, even if something costs a little bit more, do it. If you are very quality based, if you are saying that your products do X, Y, and Z, you have to make sure that those products do X, Y, or Z. You should not just be promoting stuff blindly, okay? And do your research with things like ChatGPT and Claude and like resources that you have available to you on podcasts or, YouTube. And of course, like there are some things that aren't going to be true out there, but do your best to do your due diligence, because what's most important for you as a spray tanning artist is to have products that you truly believe in and things that you're not just selling to sell, but you're selling it because you actually see the results happening for you and for your clients. People will continue coming back to you because they trust you, because they actually got the results of the things that you promised them. So it's really, really important that you do your due diligence and really research the products that you're using, and even retail products, making sure that you test it on yourself and test it on the people that you trust. Maybe you use, lotion on one leg and you don't use it on another leg. Like those are the type of experiments that you need to be doing in order for you to feel very confident that you are selling a product that isn't just snake oil. So, going forward, instead of just selling somebody something, I want you to think, how do I genuinely help this person make the best decisions? And how can I make their results last longer and better? And those answers to those questions are going to get you what you want, which is more revenue, but it's also going to get your clients what they want, which is the best results. So I hope that this episode has really helped you. Sales isn't about manipulation, so we need to get that out of our heads. It's not manipulation to benefit you. It's supposed to benefit both people. If your memberships genuinely saves them money, or if your solution genuinely gives them better results, and if your products actually improve their tan, then not telling them is actually doing them and yourself a disservice. So I really love this talk. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. I love seeing you guys share this. I love seeing you guys share this on Instagram stories. Please go ahead and tag me at @I am_Kelly_Ann. And if you love this episode or love this podcast, please take the time to review, because I love seeing what you guys learned, what you guys loved, what you guys maybe didn't like, all of the things, so I can make better episodes for you going forward. And if you are interested in trying Xtan Sunless, please go to xtansunless.com, use discount code podcast, and you'll be able to get a nice little discount on your next order. Thank you guys so much for everything. Love you long time, and I'll see you next week. Bye.